Welcome back to the beautiful city of Chongqing as we welcome you back to the series of LNG taking on LGD. Now, after game number 1, things got hot, but LNG came out of the fire ready to go. This is Clement. My name's Hysterix, and Clement, we're going to go straight into it, of course, because SofM was your MVP. And Clement, this is well-deserved.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is that he understood the win condition for both teams better than the enemy jungler did. I honestly think he out-jungled Eimy. The most important thing for LGD was they needed to get that bot lane priority going, and look how he jungled for the early first two rotations. He actually did his Raptors and Krugs twice before even touching his blue buff and Gromp, just to stay on that side of the map, make sure that Sivir was not going to get a CS lead, not going to push in and try to bully the Alistar and the Kai'Sa lane. And that just took LGD off their tempo completely. And if you think about his first gank, I think conceptually that was a great gank as well. It was just a little bit mis-executed, so they missed out on the kill. But those early plays, they just trumped whatever Eimy and LGD were doing on that side of the map. So much better understanding. A lot of times jungling is not about the optimal path. It's not about the kills. It's about pathing in a way that helps your team shut down the enemy win condition.
And it also shows you for SofM, even after that first blood goes to LGD, the recovery rate was there. The recovery of both Plex in the mid lane and SofM. So there's props that LNG were able to come back from that.
Yeah, it was very difficult for LGD to then find their footing in this composition. And I wonder if that's something that LGD can actually try to expand upon. What we've seen from LGD games is if they can't find this team fight where it's super crazy, everyone's running in the same direction, and they get that mid-game team fight around Drake where they kill multiple people, then LGD find themselves in a lot of trouble because they don't have a full array of win conditions that they can go to. Right. They're not a great side lane split pushing team. They're a late game team fighting. I wouldn't rank among the highest. So they're really banking on this mid to early game type of Drake fight style where they can snowball out of control and then carry.
Because in a team like LNG, you look at them, and as I mentioned twice during that game, they're one of the slowest teams. That's why it looks so methodical. That's why playing around these objectives, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and they're not, as you mentioned, JDG, where it's like, well, it's there, we may as well take it. It's more like, what is the proper setup for this, and how do we achieve that? In that game, it was like, well, we get a pick, but that's not the time. We can clear our vision. It's next time. It's the next time. So that's why these games are going so long, and that's why for LNG, it does feel more methodical than other teams in the LPL.
And I will also say they're a team that really likes to play BO3s. They have a ton of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes a little bit longer. What I do want to see, however, is a little bit more creativity from this team. Now, you have SofM on the team. This team is bound to be crazy geniuses. We called them the mad scientists. Yeah, that was fun. And Flande has been one of them. I hope he gets a couple more Pike games in. That's not going to be there after a few patches.
That's right. I mean, it got banned away in the first game for good reason. With LGD coming back in, like, they're going up against the mad scientists. And this team, part of the identity came around Condi and how this team would shift, and Kramer, of course, as well. But now with Eimy in it, there's more of a focus on this bottom side. And Kramer, the tallest man in the LPL as far as I'm concerned, and one of the best looking too.
Yeah, he's pointing at himself. I'm the handsome man. I'm the carry.
I would assume that this game once again would be more along the lines of like, how can we get him that Sivir? How can we get him a favorable matchup? But this time, see if he can actually win out the lane.
Definitely a very important thing to look forward to. Now, what I've been seeing in the LPL AD carries is there's been a lot of counters cropping up to the Sivir matchup. We've seen Kalista coming in. We've seen Varus coming in. It's not as short of a victory as it was in the past. And I actually see the drafting tendencies for LGD being a little bit difficult going forward as we see more parity in the bot lane in just terms of S tier picks now. Because Sivir is pretty much on her own pedestal and everyone's below that. But there are teams that are trying to change that trend. So I think they will need to change along with the times. They will need to find a little bit more identity. While on LNG side, we've seen a plethora of different play styles, different picks. While they do focus on that theme of having Asura be that main carry in the damage, the early game, the mid game, they can put priority on any of these lanes, which gives them so much freedom to play.
In the past, we've seen Flande really pick up that priority, and it was about him, this team. So it's good that it's shifted to many different lanes that we have other aspects apart from SofM and Flande. Well, if they don't play well, then who's going to?
Yeah.
Much like in spring. But for the mad scientists here, we saw a very different draft in game number 1 for both teams, actually. Weird priorities, but it was fun to see. So I'm curious to see if things go back to normal or if once again we're in a madhouse looking for things to ban and pick.
So we're seeing the Jace Elise being taken down. Now that basically tells you that we want Flande to have a good time in the top lane.
Yeah.
Probably the deadliest top jungle duo that you can possibly find. And LGD has been very insistent on banning away the Aurelio, champion that both Flande and Plex play, but at the same time, Yuuki has been known as something of a master on that champion as well. So it does feel like it is a bit of a feel bad that LGD have to go down this route.
But once again, we're to the point where Olaf hasn't been banned, the arguably best champion in the LPL, and the Kramer. Once again as a first pick here for LNG.
I'm so surprised that a 70% win rate champion is not getting selected early in these drafts. Especially when you have a Sivir Eimy composition, just lining up all of the stars and you're still not going to go for it. Now LGD going to go for Kai'Sa this time. But if they do, they need something really strong in the mid lane to hold down the fort, or Kai'Sa's not a lane you can expect priority in.
In the past, it's been Lies who's taken this Nico up to the top lane, so we don't know if that's going to be going towards Yuuki, but you're right, it's a different pick and ban once again. With a Kai'Sa priority, you're like, hang on, well, Sivir's still there, the Eimy's still there, as you mentioned. You can lock down your bottom lane right now.
Yeah, it does feel like LGD have to have a strategy that plays around mid lane. I believe they'll have the counter pick for that. But against Kai'Sa, there's so many different options you can go for.
Yes.
The Vayne, like you were talking about, the Xayah is the standard answer. You just outrange her with those clean cuts and with the pass-through damage. So very easy laning phase for her to accomplish.
And Duan does play Rakan, so the Lovers duo could make a resurgence down here in the bottom lane.
Now, I wonder if they actually go for that one, though, because Rakan, for me, sometimes is quite a risky champion, especially after their nerfs. The engages are not that certain, so I wouldn't mind if they held on to the support pick.
Finally, though.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm okay with that.
64% win rate. We should be seeing Olaf when you can get the pick. Now, on the other hand, we've seen Trundle as a counter pick, but the problem with Trundle is he really doesn't provide enough engage. Most of the times when you pick a Trundle, you have to have a composition that actually outranges the enemy one to make a lot of use of his kit, or else he just kind of does nothing and gets kited around quite frequently. Very low win rate on the Trundle.
Yep, also has been the go-to into the Sejuani, this time being seen into SofM's Olaf. Again, it is good to see this here. Both our champions like have just been explaining as to why we're seeing what we're seeing. But now we're back to some of that normalcy. Now we're back to banning the flexes and banning Live's best champion in the Yorick, which has never been prioritized in this first phase.
Yeah, and you do have to be careful about where this Karma is going. LGD cannot assume that the Karma will immediately go towards the top side. The mid lane's actually quite possible. I love the Karma Olaf combination. You can hunt down 2v1s inside the enemy jungle so easily with that one. So LGD, they are leaving a lot of room for this top lane, especially the Pyke is open.
Let's not forget that the Sylas is open too. So this is such a big pick in every region, or was in every region, but we're still on 9.11. We still have the Sylas priority here, and now LGD have to decide if they pick it up now or leave it open for LNG, because this is a champion that we haven't seen just yet, but the Nautilus over something like the Sylas is a big call for RD.
Nautilus, great engage and great lane burst potential. Gives him an opportunity to actually win the lane without jungle interference. So that's why I see the Nautilus being selected, and it does ramp up the engage potential that Trundle kind of lacks. Now, just a bit of note on LGD pick trends. Yuuki has actually never played Nico, so I'm seeing this Nico pick as surely going towards the top side, and LGD thinking about playing a mid-jungle style. This is, I believe, their strongest point on the map, especially given such an early Kai'Sa pick.
And remember, this champion is Plex's. 5 games on the Sylas. This is what has made his debut into the LPL, and what has made him a rising star in the LPL as well. So seeing Plex back on this champion bears good news for LNG fans as they look to finish up with that support or that top lane. It is going to be Karma back into the top side again.
Yeah, Karma is, Karma still could go mid.
You're right.
Difficult to say right here, but Morgana is a great answer to the Nautilus.
Birdman.
Ooh,
okay, so Yuuki is one of the few players in the LPL to actually pick this up, but the Azir going into what we're about to find out from LNG.
Yeah, we've seen them go for this super late game type of strategy that doesn't have a lot of initiate potential earlier on. You do get a little bit of an edge on the matchup against Silas. You can push alongside with them, but it's one where it's very difficult for the Azir to then leave lane and track down kills. So what I see LNG doing with their top side is they can group S3 far easier than LGD can. So I do expect them to try find a lot of fights on that around that red buff from LGD's side. While their bot lane is actually just quite safe. If they don't have any mistakes with the black shield, they can leave their bot lane as is. And for LGD's game plan, they're trying to outscale. They'll wait for a while. They'll just try to keep everything safe. I think the main battlefield will be around that red buff. We have to pay close attention to that.
I'll also say that you wanted to see more engage from the side of LGD. We got that with the Nautilus.
Yep.
The Azir also facilitates that with the Dragon Glide. What's the fun name for it? The Dragon Glide or whatever it is. The Emperor's Divide. I'll just call it what it is.
Yes, that's what it's called. The Shurima Shuffle, exactly.
Wow.
But however, I would not encourage those tendencies in Yuuki. he glides a little bit too much.
He goes too far.
Yeah, if he can just keep his lane shoved out, I think that's completely fine for now.
But we do get the engage that we're asking for here from LGD. And as you mentioned, the scaling element comes into play, but LNG have been slow to play out their games. Now with the Olaf in the jungle for SofM, now with a composition that can actually ramp up a lot faster, curious to see how they drive into this one, how they get into game 2, and how their adaptation is looking here, being one of the best teams in the LPL. And if they continue to look that good here against LGD, who have constantly forced those game number 3s.
Quite a deadly level 1 from both sides, so
Clement,
they're keeping close.
I need to interrupt you because LNG's chant is different from everyone else's in the LPL, and I need you to explain.
So Xiongqi is Chongqing's dialect. It basically means the same thing as Jiayou.
Okay.
Now, some interesting things about Chongqing. It is located in Sichuan. It's one of the... you guys all know Sichuan if you watch Rick and Morty. It's basically the truth of the universe is created.
A great way to connect that, Clement. Yeah, fantastic.
And it also is the most populous city in the entire world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, close to 30 million people live there.
Has a bigger population than Shanghai. Fun fact.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, fun fact is that's a bigger population than my home country of Australia in total. Even Shanghai.
It is one of those mega cities. We have a couple of them in China.
Yeah, very true. As you mentioned before, it will be Lies going into the top lane with the Nico. I always have to think about the names. But we're going to have a quick glance across the board.
Ooh, cheeky level. Oh, no!
I was about to say what interests me is RD's behavior in the bottom lane. Pays for it. Duan took Black Shield anyway, so that saves a bit of the harass, but failure there from the Nautilus.
That's a feel bad. Come on, if PYL was here, they would give him the finger.
And he missed that one too.
Okay.
All right, give him the finger. You
no,
naughty man,
give him the
Clement.
thumb, not the middle finger. That's the finger that he. I'm sorry, my expressions are not always that accurate.
I do. I'll bring you back. It's okay. I do want to point out that SofM this game has gone for the Predator Olaf, which we have not seen for a very long time. Gragas being the only champion that's been taking Predator here.
Yeah, I actually like this idea. Now, SofM takes a lot of weird stuff, but trust me, I have a good explanation for this. Even when you have the Conquerors, your chances against winning a 1v1 fight against a Trundle are not that high. He can body block you, you're low on your first clear, so the better way is just to focus on ganks, and I think that's what he's doing with the Predators.
Eimy comes first, so he's the one who's focused, and then Flash
What?
coming in, the TP,
What?
Yep, not even talking about this. All right, folks, you know what to do. Make sure he never forgets that. First blood. And Asura, we talked you up, but then you do that, and suddenly, not a fan.
I was thinking for a second that was Flande coming to the rescue.
He thought he had heal, didn't he? He thought it was heal.
The walk of shame. When you actually use your teleport before you die, you have to walk back to your lane.
Well,
I have to say, RD really tricked him out. Like, that was a mental mind game for him. You know, you just fool him twice, get him into that rhythm where,
and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to make you burn your teleport. First blood all the same, and the first blood went to Kramer. It was easily done here as another good part about teleport not being able to be cancelled. And Kramer's like, I'm not putting my pillar up as well. You're stuck here. So Kramer getting first blood, goes back, gets the Kachea's shard. That's a very early back and one that's going to punish the bottom lane of LNG as Eimy has now gone for a repeat gank, and
He still has his flash this time, though.
Yep. But if he gets forced out of lane, doesn't have something to rinse and repeat that as we're looking to the mid lane as well. So early blood for LGD once again. See how they capitalize on this bottom lane trade.
But they do have to make good use of it. If you look at the map right now, SofM once again is running ahead. Already 3 camps and about to be 4. And this is the Krug camp, so a much more useful camp in terms of the XP. We might be seeing a situation where the Olaf can actually out-duel the Trundle.
And he's in a really good position in this top lane if he can find lies. Remember, the Flande and SofM, good lockdown from both of them. The slow win the undertow, plus the tether that comes out of the inner flame. And we'll see how that comes forward because SofM's backing away anyway. So, Clement, focus onto your warding trinket. What happens with SofM? He picks up boots, picks up stalkers, and a couple of control wards to go with it, but no ward change.
Yep, he doesn't.
Lens.
He actually
excuse me.
Does change now.
That is Lens, yep.
Yep, so this was just purely a kind of like a gank change, I would say. So you get your wards down, even though it's not on cooldown, the sweeper will help you get those kills a little bit easier.
I think you need to make a segment out of your early opening intro about the SofM
yeah, it's a little bit
change.
complicated.
No, but it's good. I enjoyed it a lot because now seeing the Lens in there makes things a little bit different. Duan trying to turn around onto RD in this bottom lane, but he's not going to find the lockdown as Plex starting to bully out Yuuki, but twice the same. Yuuki getting better trades here in a small CS advantage already.
43 CS, and the map is stabilizing, which is exactly what LGD want. And if LNG really want to go in to get those red side invades, get that fight going, I think SofM might need to start from the mid lane itself. He might need to push this lane up with Plex or try to find a way for him to leave lane, because currently Yuuki's holding his own very well.
Yeah, he really is. This wave's going to be absorbed by him as well. And he's going to have a CS lead once again in this mid lane. So level 6 now for Plex. See if that changes when he picks up what looks to be an Emperor's Divide. He'll challenge. And Eimy into the bottom lane once again. Still missing out on farm, but maybe not the gank, as Asura is going to take himself a second skin proc. Healed up with a black shield. This time a real heal comes through, but it's from LGD as a counter gank coming through. SofM's level 6 as well. Here we go, Clement. He's all the way in. He finds RD. It's revenge. Best served cold into RD.
Very good heal from Duan. Takes both of the dual laners away from the incoming gank. They have so much HP, really, that I don't think LGD would have been able to chase that down regardless of SofM showing up to the scene.
Yep.
But very good return kill.
You were mentioning SofM was just farming away while Eimy towards the bottom side, still trying to hover around. SofM is 2 levels up, 20 CS up. That is insanity. And I know Olaf clears fast, but not that fast. He even ganks fast too, as we saw here.
Yeah, he ganks very, very fast. Now just watch this combo going down. Asura with the black shield takes a lot of that plasma damage away, and a great blade collar to keep RD in place. Easy follow-up. RD tries to do the cutesy dodge,
but he's fat. Let's be honest, man.
Yeah,
he
got
fat
like a big boy.
He got absolutely fat shamed by a dark binding. So, as I said there before, it's good revenge for the bottom lane of LNG now. Back on speaking terms, it seems.
Lies, get out of there. Get out of there, Lies.
They missed the binding. Flande going to get locked down by the Tangle Barbs here. Now, remember, Pop Blossom available, but it doesn't matter because the Olaf goes into Ragnarok. He's going to try and force a flash, but Lies can't get near the wall. Blood for SofM once again. This man is active.
If you guys can watch SofM's POV view, I highly recommend you do it. He is by far one of the most interesting junglers to catch. His pathing is very unique. He's very efficient. He has great vision control. And once again, he's out-jungling Eimy. I think there's no other way to put it, but he's just been doing more on the map.
He's run behind a little bit in that CS advantage, but he's going to go right back to his own jungle. He still has a level lead. This one will go over to Plex, and what we saw last game was that SofM was out-jungling Eimy again, and it had that impact on the mid lane and the bottom lane. This time, it's top lane. It's now bottom lane that's back into the fray. SofM is changing this game one gank at a time.
I will say, though, this is something very consistent from Lies that he really needs to change. Oh, wait a minute.
I said I wanted to see Emperor's Divide. That's the real Threma shoulders. Now, that's a hard one to say fast.
Abduct.
Plex, here we go. Chain Lash. And tongue twisters aside, Plex does force Yuuki out of lane.
Doesn't get the cooldown yet, so can't really find the kill. No flashes burned. I'd say no harm done.
The bottom lane now has priority as well, so as we keep shifting lanes. Side note, if you haven't watched the LPL before, our cameraman gets a real workout. Like, you should see the biceps on his right arm. The LGD, he's going to have to swing to this one because Eimy's getting invaded by SofM. Level advantage still here. And SofM getting challenged by
Oh, that was such a
the
good
pillar. Wow, that sucks. That was perfect.
That's the pillar of dreams. I'm not sure if that should be considered a bug or not, but you can force people to stay in place by just sticking them to the wall, and that pillar lasts for 6 seconds.
Because he keeps walking forward and he's like, man, I think I can get out of this. But like I said, that sucks for the Olaf, but great for Eimy. Yeah. Let's look at what he gets off that. He gets priority back in his own jungle. He gets priority on this dragon and to clear out vision. And while SofM has to back, he's also burned a key summoner in the flash. So a good win where you can take it here for Eimy.
SofM pouting a little bit, not happy with that happening at all.
What is that?
That should have been a clear win for LNG.
Yep.
Ooh.
It does mean he can stay in the bottom lane. Black Shield's there, you're right, but the pillar comes up. The flash burn. Second time as the depth charge comes through and SofM charges in with Predator at the ready.
Yeah, and they should spot this as well, so they're going to regain control of this side of the map. However, I do think they should be trying to switch their priority to the other side. We're thinking link up with the Karma. I think that's
okay.
That's still probably a stronger side of the map to play towards. So just keeping this side tidy, keeping it safe.
Yeah, there's a 10 CS lead in that top side, so further to your point, Flande in a very good position if SofM makes his way, but still towards the bottom side, it's a red buff available, it's an Infernal that he really wants to focus on, and now even maybe the bottom side is Asura into RD. This is a good trade, but Eimy's coming in, SofM behind them. Here we go, Clement, the heal burnt out by Duan once again, the feathers fly, but no root down. Instead they find RD, SofM still in, down he goes with the strike, but the Thundering Blow doesn't do enough. RD still healthy, the feathers can't come back in, and LNG 3 versus 3, they push RD back.
Yeah, that was the third attempt by Trundle in this bot lane in a span of, I'd say 3 minutes. So very much wanting to get Kramer ahead in this matchup. But what they really need to do is force that river vision out. LNG has been consistently getting this better side of the vision war.
Oh, and Eimy doesn't have the subjugate as well, so he's going to be pretty darn squishy here. He's going to get locked down with an Unso, and yeah, Clement, when are you going to use that? Duan found the lockdown first, and rightly so picks up the kill.
Just wasn't close enough to the wall, and I think LGD are skipping a couple of steps here. It's possible for them to find these ganks, but they have to be patient in taking that vision out. You can't just walk through multiple wards and expect the gank to go well.
And every time this happens, they're falling in further behind SofM, but Black Shield goes onto him. He turns onto RD, the killer instinct. SofM walks back into the Nautilus, but Kramer picks up the kill. They get the support in the end, and LNG trading up. Asura walking into Kramer, and the 80 carry matchup turns into this. Cursor shows on the screen, because they're not sure what's going to happen from here. But the Q, flash, auto, Kramer needs one more to die.
Can he get the blast
He'll
cone?
hit the blast cone. Asura wants to hit him, sends him away. Now for the chase up, Kramer. Is he going to get the execute? I don't think so. Hello, Asura. Thank you for the kill.
Oh, and that's a red buff as well, going over courtesies of the Eimy, actually.
Yeah.
From all of that.
It was, of course, Eimy who caught out at the start of the fight. RD going in. It was a very long one, Clement, but what I can say is that now LNG have a 3k gold lead. They're still winning in the mid lane. Yuuki does a cool little shuffle to get out of there. He has the ulti himself, but Plex is just out-damaging him greatly.
Yeah, you have a lot of difficulties as this Zir early on. You can see the item build going for the Nashers, and he's also not taken up his blue buff from the earlier fights. So it's been very difficult for him to correctly keep this lane shoved out. It's, you don't get the buff, you're not going for the item, mana item early, and this tends to happen. I
want to take a look at the Infernal Dragon though, because this is going to be the trade up here by LNG. They initiate the Rift Herald, the Morgana comes to help out, and that's going to be picked up, while at the same time, simultaneously, Eimy gets an Infernal. So again, for LGD, this bot side pressure hasn't been for naught, but really, it has been for RD.
Yeah, I would say this is a fine trade for LNG in my mind, because if you think about it, you're going late and they get great bonuses from the Infernal Drake. With or without it, if it goes late, you're going to lose anyway. Yep. So it's just a win more condition for LGD at this point. However, they do need to keep their bot lane somewhat safe, because they can't trade anything back on the map right now.
A lot of turret plating here to be taken by Kramer. Solo onto the Kaiser, who already has the first item in. This time the Storm Razors, so watch and see what happens second. But Kramer here going to be run into by Asura and Duan. Just a side note, Duan has 3 kills, by the way, so that's an early Zonya's coming up. But Plex found himself into Yuuki, who gets Karima shuffled back. He's by himself, takes the subjugate, and the depth charge is going to be knocked up, and he's not tanky enough. SofM's like, what can I do for you? What?
I like the way SofM didn't even try to throw
He
an
walked
axe.
a little bit forward and he's like, nah, man, I'm not
He
doing
just
that.
watched that. He pure OB'd that. He's like a pure observer in that one. He was very afraid that there was going to be more skill shots coming over.
And I mean, this is the new Korean mid laner with SofM, so you're like, well...
Maybe he did say something in Vietnamese. He just didn't
Yeah.
understand.
And Plex is speaking in Korean, and they're like, what is going on? So Plex finding his first death of the game, and this is good news for Yuuki, who just momentarily picked up the Nash's tooth. LGD, despite what happened with the jungle matchup, is actually very far back into this game.
Yeah, they're hanging on fine. I don't think there's been enough of a disturbance from LNG to really to close down this game handedly. Okay. It's been pretty tit for tat overall.
Yep.
There's a couple of moves that I could see happening in the future for LGD to kind of push this. Number one is that they do have a teleport advantage in the top side. So if they want to get a big team fight going, they actually have a very good chance of winning it.
They really do, but they got to start it off first because for LNG down towards the bottom side, they're going to get sandwiched by Eimy. And SofM decides against that. This time the pillar is quite fair to him, and he'll just walk around it. So walking away, Eimy himself, he started to catch up back in this jungle. Now the gap is only 10 CS.
Yep, still very close around, and SofM continuing to hunt down for these kills,
but
this time Silas is here.
Yeah, Plex coming down makes it a 4v2. The killer instinct for Kramer to get out. RD even doesn't have the flash, but he's going to die anyway. So Asura picking up the kill with the TP coming through. This is the Pop Blossom down from Lies, but he uses it as no one's in it. They get the Blade Caller back. Lies has the flash, but he comes in to die. Duan kill number 4. Let's get a Fed Morgana support.
Yeah, I was talking about the TP advantage, but that was a little bit too late. It was already a 3v4, and LNG were completely full health.
And look at the top lane turret. Meanwhile, Flande picks it up. This is the moment where you say, LGD, it's happened again. You've got a big disadvantage, and it's of your own making.
Yeah, it would have been okay if LGD started to fight themselves and it was in River, but in that situation, we're already down a member. Just save the TP, hold your top lane tower. That was a massive swing into LNG's favor.
But you know what? It's SofM. He's unrelenting.
Yeah, just keeps on coming at you, and this is actually a very good direction to come in on from Duan. He forces off the top side, makes you go into this small triangle in the bottom side of the lane, hits everyone, and this is just unfortunate from Lies.
It's the 4th kill for Morgana. Sonya's Hourglass.
He should have never teleported. He actually teleported in after RD was already gone.
0-2 on Lies. And you're right, Clement, he was already down CS, the 15 CS advantage for the Karma, who has gone back towards the top side. Now with Ardent Sensor and Athenes, and that looks like a Rabadon's coming third. So the explosion will happen. 1,500 gold lead just in that top lane. The Azir has a lead. You're saying, wow, Yuuki again is ahead in lane. But not good enough news here for LGD, who are always losing out bot side as well.
Yeah, the story seems to be very similar in both these games. LNG just have the stronger side lanes in general, and look at that top lane, up by 1,800
and jungler.
gold.
Let's not forget jungler. Like, they've got a very strong jungler in SofM compared to Eimy.
1,300 as well. So Yuuki, like you were saying, the only side that has a chance of standing up.
Yep.
So what I see LNG doing is now, without the side lanes and LGD pretty much force to hug their mid lane tower, they can just start taking away all of these jungle resources.
And they can start looking for picks like this. Lies almost stepped out of place. He's going to tangle Barb into the brush, but this red buff looking for a steal. He will not find it with a hose. SofM starting to impeach top side, while LGD think they can swap to the bottom side, but at the moment, nothing up. They drop a ward, they go back mid, and they're trying to make a play onto the bottom lane.
So we're seeing a 3-man stack of LGD. Their entire team now should be here. LNG have vision on the top side, so they should be very aware of the potential members that LGD has in this river. I don't expect them to actually get caught here.
Plex has roamed up as well. Look at the spread here. The dredge line goes wide, or rather short from RD. The binding does connect. Duan does a lot, remember. And SofM going to get locked down. LGD still want this, but SofM walking away. Karma sends out the inner flame, dodges away. This is a slow one, Clement. SofM getting chunked out slowly, though.
I love the position that Lies is putting himself in. This is somewhere that he plays around so frequently. Just getting that control ward there and poking out the enemy team.
And Yuuki's the one who does damage, remember, so he's in this pit. He's safe at the moment. LGD getting poked out themselves, but they managed to secure a second elemental in the ocean. While LNG spotted out, but waiting for the bait themselves.
Yeah, like LGD just played this fight so well. Like, they really have been playing around these Drake fights for a very long time, and they know the exact positioning to take in these ones. The flank position from Lives, we've seen that multiple times in their games, where if Lives can stand in that brush, he can get a multi-man Tangle Barbs and then just going in with the ultimate. So LNG had to spend a lot of time clearing that one out. They give over the Elemental Drake, and I actually don't feel like giving it over the Elemental Drake was that big of a problem, but they spent a lot of time and resources trying to contest that as well, and it was not really for anything. So probably a better play there would have been to back out and just force down the mid lane tower.
Yeah, that's right. The mid lane turret's still there. The outer turret at this point for LNG is a bearer of bad news, because it means Yuuki can stay in this short lane. The Azir is safe no matter what. And as soon as he gets towards that second item, it's going to get it even more dangerous. So at this point, Yuuki, a good news story here for LGD that continues to rise. And a story that they're not letting go here, because LNG, even though they're grouping up towards the mid lane, teleport expended to hold on.
A lot of resources have to be thrown in here, and if you look at the brush control, there is none to be had for LGD. So they can't really push forward at all.
But RD's caught out again. He's going to get locked down with the W from Kramer. Flande almost bursts him down, but he doesn't have the damage quite yet. RD, this is dangerous.
That was quite lucky from RD that he was able to dodge out on some of the abilities there.
Hang on a minute. Plex, the trade, not going as expected, but still has a Kingslayer available. Lies, the longer that goes on, the harder it gets for him. But LNG, we're waiting for it. They're now into the mid lane.
Yeah, this is a great vision ward being placed by LNG. Just look at how many wards they have controlling that entire mid lane. They are effectively stuck from pushing the wave out. And if they can't push the wave out, they're never going to be able to defend their own jungle at the same time. It's always a multi-man lock in the mid lane. So just look at the positioning of the wards that LNG is throwing down there. They're putting it on their side of the mid lane brushes, but that prevents anything from being placed there. And before LGD can actually push out, they need to get vision there.
I just realized it's become very hard to say LNG and LGD. I mean, they're one letter apart.
There's too many L's and G's.
I know, I've almost said it a couple of times now.
People need to think of another word outside of gaming.
Yes!
I think entertainment is actually
I mean,
great.
You know.
Even though it sounds, you know.
Yeah. Entertainment.
It has a lot of different.
Yeah, you're a dirty man.
No, I mean, like, it
sorry,
could be movies or streams or something.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. You're right, though. It's become difficult. I was going to focus on a point here from Yuuki that the wave clear is so big at this point that it's becoming even harder for LNG to siege that mid lane turret. You saw 4 members mid just before, and combined with Kramer and Yuuki, wave clear is practically instant as Plex steals away the blue buff. That's annoying. Yuuki definitely needs that, and LNG one step closer to finally breaking free of mid.
So I think the way that they can decide to play this is, you know, you have double TPs right here. You just force one of these side lanes in, and then you can TP into the jungle from one side and just close down the kill. Now, the best person to TP in, I would say, would be Plex, because he has more crowd control potential.
Yep.
So I just see that what LNG should be doing, still going toward that red side. You know, you just want to have Plex in the bottom lane pushing, but push into that red side, get a TP in, fight a jungle fight, and you should be good there. Like, closed, confined spaces, great for Morgana to really work her sorcerer magic there.
So much pick potential, and staying on the Morgana point as well. Asura going to help you burst them down quicker. Infinity Edge now, second item on the 80 carry.
He's been sitting on that for quite oh my god!
Oh no, he's caught out. Just in time, they shout. Yuuki was doing so well, but now to escape, not possible. SofM picking up the kill and a big pick around the Baron pit.
Yeah, just a little too late on the ward there. I actually wonder why they didn't spot Morgana. It seems like there was a control ward in the river.
He was safe, though, Clement. He was half a second out of basing.
Yeah.
He was so darn close. LNG, right time, right place. I've said it about a lot of LPL teams, the past couple of days. Now LNG showing us what they mean. As they run down the mid lane, they picked up one. They're going for a second here. And LGD struggling to really communicate and get towards the fight.
Lots of damage right here, but LNG also need to be quite careful. They can't full poke in this situation. You still do have Lies there with the Tangle Barbs. Just taking a look at the map, once again, you have SofM, the Vision King of the jungle. He sees all.
There we go.
Ooh,
now he's
double
in the lead.
The vision.
He's 51. over Duan, who's 48.
Yeah, he actually covers for 2 people right there.
See?
Oh, that was just a little bit too greedy from Yuuki. He was probably shopping already. He did have Duan in full vision.
Yep. So the ward there to spot him out. Again, vision control of LNG, always a plus side here in the LPL. They've been up by 7k gold for a while now, but that pick has kind of facilitated that LGD lose all control around the Baron pit. Respawned, drop wards again, but LNG looking to contest, while LGD are looking for that comparable trait.
2 sayings to live by: don't text and drive, and don't window shop on the Rift. It's a very dangerous maneuver.
Yep. One more dangerous than another. I'll let you guys figure that out at home. 2 items now for the Azir while we were speaking around Baron, and while you were thinking about texting and driving, I thought you said something else. I don't know why. But 2 items for Plex there as well, while LNG sneak themselves an Ocean Dragon. That's nice. Infernal coming up next. That's a big plus.
Yeah, so LNG are finally moving on to a second win condition now that they have mid lane tower down. It's simply to burst down the Baron, and they do actually have the damage to do it at this point. So I want to see how LGD try to maneuver themselves into position and at least keep this side of the map somewhat clear. If you look at their trinkets, they already have 3 trinkets already. So I actually very much like this idea. A lot of times I feel like teams transition into blue trinkets a little bit too late.
Yep. Sometimes too early. I'll leave that up to Cypher once again, Clement. As LNG, they've got so much vision control around here, as you were mentioning before, that LGD, to clear it out, they have to get out of their own red side at the moment. SofM's found Eimy, and this is going to be the start of the fight as depth charge coming through. LNG don't seem committed to take the dive as Yuuki's put up the sun turret here, so that'll slow things down, but another flash burn here for LGD.
Yeah, this slow and steady composition, I have to say, from what we've seen in the LPL, has not found a lot of wins.
Yeah.
It's mainly about mid-game team fights.
Oh, no.
From what we've seen.
RD caught out again. Clement! This happened for the 4th time this game, and the Ho's only thing slowing down LNG from taking the rest of the fight.
Yeah, and you can see the issues right here is that they actually stack their trinket timers all together. Like, all of their blue trinkets are on cooldown at the same time, and when they're all on cooldown, there's only one way to check.
Oh,
with
wow.
Your face.
They evade the ghost. They walk around. They find Kramer, a killer instinct with Duan. Might be caught out here. The Pop Blossom onto 2 members, but Kramer has to flash over the wall. The reverse Pop Blossom is even better from Plex. Eimy's stuck in the middle with you, and a double kill over to the Korean import mid laner means LNG are going for that big purple worm.
And right on the cue, just taking over that jungle, running it over again and again and again. Look how consistent that vision clear was coming in from the side of LNG. There was nothing beyond the red buff for LGD to really look into. And this is the second time in the series that we see a completely vision blackout being put down by LNG. Very good work right here. And then again, you have SofM sitting at 76 vision score.
Yeah.
Now, just starting this one, it's really unfortunate that I feel like it's just the small details that have to be mentioned in fights like these, is that you cannot put all of your blue trinkets on the same cooldown timers at the same time. You see Kramer here trying to find a good angle for the W to check up, but already LNG are relentless. They hold on down to that front, and there's nothing that can be done.
You know what I loved about that play from LNG was that the spooky ghost started traveling around that corner, and SofM and I believe it was Plex start walking around, or maybe Duan, they start walking around. And that's when the ghost starts curving around like, holy crap, there's someone in this brush. That Kramer realizes he's in trouble, but it's too late because the binding connects.
That was funny. He probably thought that there was someone in the inner tri,
yeah,
higher up on river, and then he sees the ghost turn. It's
and
like,
it turns the corner like, oh no, someone's here. And found out way too late. Too late to have an impact in this game. Not yet, but a 9k gold lead here against LGD. Rather, it's 11k. Plex is going to find the 1v1, but question is, Kramer with the Baron minions, does he want to continue? Plex does a lot of damage himself. He's got 3 items. And LNG across the map, they're not stopping elsewhere. They've got 3 lanes pushing.
Really high pressure at this point. Plex also has his TP as well, so LGD can't really chase past the minion wave. They have to take this very slowly. But interesting teleport by Plex. He's actually just trying to keep this a 3-lane press at the all while going and just leaving the cannons to do most of the work.
If this turns out into an all-out fight, LNG know that Kramer's towards the top side. He's rotating now, looking for the flank, but LGD managed to stave off the rest of LNG for now, while they just rotate and get the free turret on the top side.
You have to remember, Kramer can join very easily. Killer Instinct has a massive range, so
Yep.
I actually think LGD's best answer to this is to hard engage on the mid lane. However, with the minion wave receding, they're going to go back and get a couple buys.
I mean, or pick a lane. Pick Flande, pick topside, because the longer this goes on, the more LNG get.
I don't think picking the lane where Kramer is at is necessarily the best.
That's true. RD joins him, but it's already too late. The inhibitor turret drops down. Asura sits in the mid lane. Flande already got the bottom side turret. 1, 2 inhibitors up for the taking. A minute left of this barren horror movie for LGD.
A good tower to save all of this. Now, Kramer should try to rotate somewhere else. He can defend the mid lane at the same time.
There goes an inhibitor on the bot side though, Clement. And I know you're trying to talk up Kramer and like what he can do in this fight, but it looks near hopeless.
I don't think LGD realize it. LGD do
Eimy,
something. No!
Help him! No, they go to the top side. Now they need to make a play. And sure, they do find Plex, but
Plex.
SofM is out for now. Kramer can't get the Killer Instinct down. But the rest of the fight, he finally finds SofM, tries to burst him, running away, but Duan gets the tether on top of him. He's going to look for a Dark Binding. Undertow does connect, but on the side, LNG are disengaging. They've got 2 inhibitors. They don't get the third, but is that even a small win at this point for LGD?
It was a little bit slow on the trigger, but at the end of the day, they do a okay job, maybe.
Attaboy, Clement. That's positivity at work.
Okay. I actually think they should have just went in early.
I love it. You're like, I'm trying to be positive here.
They dropped 3 towers before they decide, hey, here's the time, and that's dropping 5 objectives before you go in. It just feels bad.
It feels bad. You're right. And LNG, when they pace it so slowly, Clement, you're like, it feels even worse.
Yeah, and that's going to happen in one of your side lanes at one point. Plex dies without using much.
Very true. But his death was a noble cause, or was for, rather. 12k gold lead, and LNG say, it's time to end this. RD, do you want your 5th death? Well, Duan, SofM are going to decide that for you now, and the answer is yes. Asura picks up the kill. Duan gets bursted down, but healed up nicely. That's the power of Athene's Karma in the top lane.
A very big shielding right there. I love, I don't love, but I like how Duan accepted his fate. RD accepted his fate, excuse me.
Yep.
Just try to slow everyone.
What you're saying is you love death, that's fine. LNG in game 2, happy to deliver that. There's one inhibitor open in the top side at half health, as our observer is mentioning. And Lives will not be able to defend this, let alone LGD.
A very sizable range advantage from Asura in these team fights.
Well, they actually are trying to defend it. Asura gets bursted down. Opportunities. Kramer ults in. The feathers fly. LGD send out the fake clone, and Pop Blossom comes down, but Plex uses it way too early. For LGD, they defend LNG from ending the game, but they can't save the inhibitor.
Yeah, this is actually getting a bit dicey here. We're seeing the power of Azir online. That was only 1 Q to take Asura all the way down to half health. So they still have a little bit of fight in them, despite the 12k gold lead that LNG do have. I think they're going to play it safe and just start picking up these objectives.
Okay, let's find out, because it feels like game 1 again, Clement, where is that window of opportunity, and you're like, okay, LGD have their way back into this game, although it's such a long shot at this point, like it was in game 1. But there's the window of opportunity. And again, it's through Yuuki and Kramer that we now look, because it's not about the Pop Blossom in this game, it's about the Emperor's Divide and that Killer Instinct, which Kramer's going to have to nail.
Yeah, we really want to see Yuuki put a lot of damage into the back line, and they do need to burst someone down rather quickly. If you think about all the shielding that LNG does have, you're not going to have the damage to take this team down piece by piece. It's going to have to be in sudden, violent bursts.
Yep. But the least they can do is try and contest somewhat of this Baron. The issue is they can't, because Lies has been left in base with teleport, but he's been left in front of the inhibitors while LNG look for a 5 versus 4. And SofM trying to start it up. Asura even walking into Yuuki. This is the fight that could end all. RD doesn't get to play once again into the back line. You find yourself Plex. Kramer heals to try and get out. Flande hits him once and twice. And Flande picking up that kill means LNG eyes are on the prize. They want to end this game. They want to end this series.
That was amazing positioning from Duan. He actually cut off the retreat to the tower and forced Yuuki to walk away from his own base. Olaf was able to chase him, delay that stay, and now they're going to close.
It's the last bout here for LGD underneath their Nexus, but the turrets are gone, and soon the Nexus will be as well. They get a pick, but it's way too late for that, as LNG continue their run towards the top of the pack.
4-1 so far. This was a team that was the bottom 4 teams in the LPL last split. A name change and a new mid laner, and now they are looking like gods. Very well played throughout the entire game. Once again, dominating Vision performance.
Yep.
And Duan has really been showing up. I've been saying this at the start of the show, but I think he is the most improved player by far this split. Was previously known as Caveman from LGD Gaming.
And when do you get a chance to talk about someone on LGD Gaming?
Yeah, you really don't. But once he shows up inside playoff range, then you can get a closer inspection on him. I really loved how he played all of these team fights. He had RD's number this entire game.
I know the crowd in Chongqing are going to be super excited because their team in Old Snake are getting somewhere, Clement. Is it too early to hype them up? No.
It is.
Their performance against JDG, IG, previous playoffs, and DMO, even LGD, who were outliers of the pack, is impressive, not to mention WE. So 5-1. Don't think it's too early. I think we can finally get behind LNG and say that this top-tier team keeps going up.
I will never put my guard down against LNG until they pass the first round of playoffs.
Okay.
They need to do that before I put my faith in them.
That's very
But
fair.
they are off to a great start. And this game, once again, I feel like their entire game strategy was very well laid out. And the jungling, again, was superior coming in from SofM.
Yep.
Better controls, lots of fights in the bottom lane that work in their favor, and they outplayed
Wow.
the TP as well.
It kind of tells you jungle difference here, doesn't it? Like, that's a big lull. Eimy did 1,200 damage that game because he kept trying to get towards the bottom lane in the early portions, and he just never got in.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where I felt like they skipped steps in trying to take over vision control inside that river. 2 times he was ganking in the bot side, he was just spotted out and playing vision, and
Yeah.
Olaf with Predators was able to come on the scene and actually take a kill back from the people that were actually starting the gank. So they really need to play a more fundamentally sound game. I like what LGD are bringing to the table with the second option and saying, you know what, if bot lane, everything on bot lane priority doesn't work, maybe we can draw the game out. LNG is the slowest playing team in the entire LPL.
That's right.
Maybe
we saw that
have
twice
something.
in this series here.
But even then, LNG, I feel like their early game control with Plex is just completely different from before. You can't pull the same wool over their eyes and just hope that you can drag the games out in toward the later phases. And to be honest, LGD hasn't been able to take a win with this composition of Azir and Kai'Sa. It's just a little bit too slow in the current meta.
Yeah, you can see when Yuuki and even Kramer were ahead, it's like the rest of the map is suffering so hard that something needs to be done. And there was a lot of bot side focus that time from SofM. There was a lot of controlled ganks and counter ganks towards Eimy, and that's why that graph was so different. That's why the damage was non-existent for Eimy, because he tried and tried and tried, but LNG were always that one step ahead.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not about the ganks itself, it's just about like keeping them equal and
That's
even.
true, because he was down the bottom side when also
Yeah.
SofM was just powerful.
If you think about the way that this game actually happened, I felt like the better way for them to play it was just to hold all of the lanes even.
Yep.
And just keep vision advantage over just the bot side, or over the blast cone into that river brush. If you have that vision, you always have the threat of the Trundle coming out of the brush and just stopping the bot lane from pushing and just trying to drag the game out. Instead, the entire game kind of imploded when the TP from Lies happened, because that was instantly 2 towers being taken away.
That was right.
So I feel like LGD, with this style of composition, I still don't think it's great in the meta, but if you want to play it out, a lot of times actual just pressure and vision wars are more important than the ganks and shutdowns themselves.
I want to talk about Lies in the top lane, because I think it's time to try Duan. Like, that series to me tells me one thing, and that Lies is a good team fighter. I think Lies is
The
a
Drake fight
competitive.
was really good.
Yes, I think he's a competitive team fighter. But Lies, at the moment, with the team getting reshaped and remodeled, is not what LGD need. And I think give Duan a chance. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, he does. Lies does present
Please.
a bit of a monotone.
Please.
tune. I have big AoE and team fight.
I mean,
that's it.
what do you think? Because I mean, I'm a play-by-play man. I just throw my thoughts out and get.
Look, I don't know why they're not trying him. Like, if you import a known Korean player who's probably going to cost you a hefty amount,
Yes.
you want to play him.
Yes.
Like, a lot of times in
he's
the LPL.
on loan money.
Like, yes. We've seen actual Korean imports stay on the roster even when they were underperforming, and this is the other case around where you're like, give him a try, see what happens. Like, you've got nothing to lose right now.
Look at Plex. Look at how Plex has been performing, and there was an option whether LNG were going to go back to Fen or whether we were going to see Andy, who's still technically on the roster. But this has been the best, one of the best decisions of the roster's life. Like, Plex is shaping up big. And I think going forward, like, he is a playoff mid laner in heart. When we have our top 8 going into playoffs, Plex feels like he should be there. Yeah,
it's been a long time coming to see LNG like this. Like, mid lane strength has been a traditional power, sort of a weakness since Zatai left the team. That was a very long time ago.
That was 2016?
I can't even remember.
Sorry
that was a long time. 2015, he was already on a different team. He was already on IG, I think. So it's been a long time for this team, and finally seeing them shape up and being able to play early game aggressively, that's really important. And also watching SofM just be able to take, you know, leave the Metal Gear Snake type of style where he's going around the map with no support.
He's back in his element.
Yeah, this is much better to see SofM play. And I think he's probably the biggest beneficiary of Plex being on the team because now he has a mid lane that is there to support him. And his jungle pathing, he's running all sorts of loops around that enemy jungle. Do you see by the end of that game, that vision score was like, I think it was 90-something.
I think it was more than Duan. Yeah, it was more than Duan.
It was 4 times higher than the enemy jungle at that point.
That's when you know your jungle's doing a good job of warding.
Yes.
But a good job from LNG in total. A 2-0 here. Continues to state that this team is going up and up and up. Same needs to be said about Rogue Warriors and EDG. Preferably Rogue Warriors to look to pick up their first game, their first series. And it's against EDG. Finding out right after this.